Somewhere on this planet right now, someone is sitting down to a meal that would stop most of us completely in our tracks. Not because it's wrong, not because it's dangerous, but because food carries history, culture, and identity in every single bite. It is far stranger, far more beautiful, and far more vast than most of us will ever know. This is a journey into that world. We begin in Iceland, a land of fire and ice, where the winters are brutal, and the food tells that story. For over 1,000 years, Icelanders have eaten something called hakkarl, fermented Greenlandic shark. The shark is caught, buried underground, and left to ferment for up to 6 months. Then, it's hung to dry for another 6 months after that. The result smells, by most accounts, like very powerful ammonia. Anthony Bourdain once called it the single worst thing he had ever eaten. And yet, in Iceland, it is considered a delicacy, a connection to their ancestors, a point of national pride. It is served in small cubes at celebrations and festivals, washed down with a shot of Brennivin schnapps, which the locals call Black Death, a meal that tells you everything you need to know about the people who made it: resilient, resourceful, completely unafraid. Move now to Southeast Asia, where the air in certain markets carries a smell so powerful, so distinctive, that the fruit responsible has been banned from hotels, airlines, and public transport across multiple countries. It has been described as smelling like gym socks, raw sewage, and overripe onions all at once. And yet, in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and across the region, durian is called the king of fruits. It is celebrated, gifted, fought over at markets, eaten fresh, cooked into desserts, blended into ice cream. The flesh inside, creamy, custard jello, rich, beyond description, tastes, to those who love it, like nothing else on earth. One food writer called it eating vanilla custard in a sewer. And somehow, that is a compliment. This is what makes food extraordinary. The same thing that repels one person is the greatest pleasure another has ever known. Italy gave the world pasta, pizza, and gelato. But in Sardinia, the rugged, proud island off Italy's western coast, there is a cheese that the European Union has banned from commercial sale: Casum Atsu, which translates, roughly, as rotten cheese. It begins as pecorino, a traditional sheep's milk cheese. But then something unusual happens. Cheese flies are introduced. They lay their eggs inside. The larvae hatch. And as they feed, they break down the fats in the cheese, creating a soft, almost liquid texture. Unlike anything else, the cheese is eaten larvae and all. In Sardinia, it has been made this way for generations. It is a food of identity, of defiance, of deep cultural pride in a tradition that the modern world has tried and failed to erase. It is still made, still eaten, still loved. Just very quietly. In China, there is an egg that looks like it came from another planet. The shell, when cracked open, reveals an egg white that is turned completely black, translucent, firm, and glossy. The yolk, a deep, dark green, sometimes almost gray. This is pidan, known in the West as the century egg. It is not, despite the name, 100 years old. It is preserved for weeks or months, traditionally in a mixture of clay, ash, salt, and rice straw. The process transforms the egg completely. The taste, rich, complex, deeply savory, like a very intense aged cheese. In China, it has been eaten for over 600 years. It appears on fine dining menus, in congee, in salads. It is one of China's most iconic foods, and one of the most misunderstood outside its borders, judged entirely by appearance before a single bite is ever taken. That, perhaps, is the lesson of this entire journey. How much we miss when we judge before we taste. We end our journey in the Australian outback, where the land is ancient, where the heat is relentless, and where the First Nations people of Australia developed one of the most sophisticated food systems on Earth. Over 40,000 years before any cookbook was written. The witchetty grub is the larvae of several moth species, found in the roots of witchetty bushes across the desert interior. To the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, it is not exotic. It is not unusual. It is simply food, rich in protein and fat, sustaining life in an environment that offers very little. Eaten raw, it tastes like a mild, creamy almond. Lightly cooked over fire, the skin crisps up like roasted chicken, while the inside remains soft. This is not a novelty. This is not a dare. This is the oldest food culture on the planet. Still alive? Still nourishing people on the same land where it always has. We have barely scratched the surface. On this planet, there are thousands of foods, carrying thousands of stories of survival, of culture, of history, of identity. We found 300 of them, and we put them all in one place. 300 unusual and interesting foods. Squash the subscribe button.